I will never forget December 10th, 2020, where Disney live streamed their investors meeting, which included the announcement of all sorts of projects from Star Wars, Marvel, and of course Pixar. When I watched Pete Docter on my screen confirm that a brand new Disney Plus series in the Cars universe was coming, needless to say I was pretty excited. For years I had been saying that I did not want a Cars 4, but I wanted them to make a Disney Plus TV show following the adventures of my favorite characters, and this seemed to be exactly that. But as more and more information was leaked and revealed, it became apparent that that was not entirely the case. Finally, almost 2 years after its announcement, Cars on the Road released on Disney Plus. I'm here 1 year later to figure out, was this show what I wanted? Short answer, no. No, it was not. The biggest problem with Cars on the Road, in my opinion, is time. The longest episode of the show is the season finale, which clocks in at just over 10 minutes if you cut out the credits. Even though each episode is its own little self contained story, there isn't a whole lot of time to get the message across, which makes them feel more like those interlude shorts on Treehouse that would play between two different shows, rather than its own full out show itself. And yes, I know that the show is for kids, and this is better for their short attention span and blah blah blah. But in my opinion, the short runtime makes it apparent that there is nowhere near the amount of heart put into this show that there was into the original Cars movie. Another issue I have is the concepts themselves. It very much feels like the creators just got together and thought of the wackiest scenarios they could come up with for Mater and McQueen to find themselves in. And if that's the case, I think they would have been better executed if they were in the format of a Mater Tall Tale. Now, since I never really made a video on the show when it released, I'm going to go through each episode and give you my in-depth opinions. When the concept art for Dino Park was revealed, I was very skeptical to say the least. However, this episode turned out to not be all that bad. It opens with McQueen at home in Radiator Springs, where right away we see the highlight of the series, which is the animation. In all of the previous Cars shorts, it's very obvious that the budget is pretty low, but in this, the animation quality is on par, if not better, than Cars 3. Going back to the episode, though, the opening is nice, but again, due to this show's short runtime, we are limited to only like a minute with all of the other iconic characters, which is pretty disappointing if you ask me. The actual Dino Park is decent. A lot of new lore about the Cars universe is revealed, and though I think adding car dinosaurs into the universe is a bit absurd, I'm happy with how it's executed, and I think the animation style switch when Mater is dreaming is pretty cool. Overall, I'd give this one a 6 out of 10, pleasantly surprising. Hey, this episode was made by Steve Herschel, and it even features a hearse as one of the main characters. Lights Out stars London McQueen in a haunted hotel with references to lots of iconic horror things, such as the twins from The Shining. I can't tell if this episode is trying to be scary or funny, but it accomplishes neither. The only thing it really adds to the world of Cars is that even though they don't sleep on beds, they still have headboards. 3 out of 10, Mater and the Ghostlight did it 1,000 times better. Of all the episodes, this was easily the one I was looking forward to the most. Land speed racing is such a cool thing to show in the Cars universe, and it would fit well with the theme of the original movie. It would have had the opportunity to show us the culture and introduce us to new characters. The episode does actually start off really strong, showing all sorts of different and unique cars and McQueen explaining their lore, and then Mater dies. He spends the rest of the episode convincing the speed demon to bring him back to life. I think that's got to be the most insane twist in all of Cars. 5 out of 10 don't make deals with the devil. The legend opens with Lightning being jealous that his boyfriend wants to hang out with Bill Rev's sister and her cult. It also introduces us to who I would consider the tertiary character of the series, Ivy, a former Thunder Hollow stunt car who murdered my boy Run. A lot of far-fetched stuff happens in this one, but the chase scene is actually really cool, and I like the designs of all the characters. 5 out of 10, why is she called Bigfoot and not Big Wheel? When the series first released, I absolutely despised Showtime, only because of this one scene. Having rewatched it a year later, I can admit that I was a bit hard on this episode, but it still isn't great. The trunk scene is so stupid, and Ivy's character arc feels completely unearned. 2 out of 10, what's next? This is not an episode, nope, this is literally a music video they played in the hotel of the All-Star Movie Resort in Disney World. 1 out of 10, this is what an acid trip feels like. B-movie is actually really cool. A lot of creative world building in my opinion, and good character work as well. Lightning is a jealous loser in this episode, and even though it's a bit annoying, it ends with a lot more heart than the rest of the show. Honestly, the only thing holding this episode back is the random resurgence of Ivy and the musical number at the end. 7 out of 10 best episode by a kilometer. Dude, Road Rumblers is absolutely insane. I thought Cars 2 couldn't get any crazier, but this brings it to a whole new level as McQueen and Mater somehow find themselves in the midst of an apocalyptic war. Easily the stupidest and most ridiculous piece of Cars media of all time, but a lot of cool elements, and I wish we got to see more of the war. 5 out of 10, you couldn't pay me to write a stupider episode, and I love it for that. Last but not least is the season finale, Getting Hitched. I do not like this episode. The idea of Mater having a sister just feels weird to me, and the fact that it's revealed in this episode that he's from a prestigious rich family feels like a subversion of expectations that goes against everything we know and love about the character. Cruz Ramirez also makes a surprise appearance where she feels so unbelievably forced in and just solves all of their problems. It's like they wanted to incorporate her somehow, and they needed a role for people. So they just made her be every role. There are some cool nods though to the original movie, like Mato referring to herself as Mato without the T, and Mato getting a bug in his eye, which is like a reference to the original teaser. The saving grace for this episode is Mater's speech, which at least has a bit of heart and serves as a nice conclusion to the show. Overall, I'd give Getting Hitched a 3 out of 10, and that about does it for all of the episodes. A lot of ups and downs in my opinion, but for what it is, it's not bad. I just wish it was more. Lots of great diecasts, that's for sure. Let's hear what my guys from Collectors Link think about the series as a whole.
Hello everyone, it's me, AstroSmokey. First off, thank you, SpaniCars, for having me on this video, allowing me to be a part of it. So, I didn't really have much time to throw together a proper setup, so I've just got part of my carded wall of my Cars on the Road diecasts here. So, when Cars on the Road was first released, I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was, I thought it had its flaws, mainly the reused models and also particularly how rushed some aspects of the show were, in specific the Dino Park episode. And whilst I do still think those flaws of the show are things that hold true today, it was quite an enjoyable little series, and for what it was, I quite enjoyed it. Nothing overwhelmingly special, but a fun little addition to the Cars universe, and has brought us some great diecasts. You got Doug Crankle, you got Squat, Adam Rodriguez, you got Salt Flats Races, Dinosaurs. Can't forget the Griswold reference up here. My opinion on the series hasn't really changed all that much. The ranking of some episodes has, that's about it. It's very hard to believe it's been 1 year since the series dropped, though. I remember the weeks leading up to it, how excited I was, how I was counting down days. That's all from me, though, and again, thank you, SpaniCars for having me on. I shall pass you all over to the next person now, and I'll see you all soon.
It really is crazy that it's been a whole year since Cars on the Road was released. September 8th, 2023 is today, meaning that would have been September 8th, 2022, and Cars on the Road's release, was by far the most important thing to happen that day. Remember anything else happening that day? No? That's what I thought. It was really exciting because that was the first time in, I think, 5 years, well, more than 5 years actually, that we had some kind of new Cars content that actually told a story. Obviously, you had like the Unparalleled Parking and Dancing with the Cars shorts, which were just kind of, well, I don't really know what word to use to describe those, but they were not exactly stories that we were wanting to see, but Cars on the Road was that. It was really cool. I mean, at the time, I guess it was exciting. I woke up and I watched it immediately, went to school, came home, watched it after school. Even during the school, I would pull up the Disney Plus app on my phone, and I would watch some clips over and over of it again. Obviously, I think it was great. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of potential, a lot of things they should have done that they didn't do, but overall, it was just nice to have some new Cars content, new Cars characters, like you can see there, like now Speed Cone Ivy way off on the left side. Of course, the GOAT Noriyuki. And this is just a small portion of the die casts and the new characters we've got here, just because, I mean, I don't have a very sizable Cars on the Road collection yet. Store's still not that good. But yeah, overall, I think I like Cars on the Road, and even 1 year later, I haven't rewatched it like a whole lot of times. Definitely have a few, and I think I don't know what my favorite episode is. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. It might be either B movie. I liked the Haunted. I liked Lights Out. There wasn't like a bad episode. There was some episodes that were better than others. Like, I mean, Trucks, which is kind of a music video. But yeah, overall, looking back on it 1 year later, Cars on the Road, I still think it's pretty good. Might be a little biased just because I'm a big sucker for any kind of Cars content, so I don't go in deep as to like what it means or any criticisms I'd have of it. But I still think that it checks out. It holds up pretty well, and a year later, it's still a pretty good show. Hopefully, we'll get a new season sometime soon, and that'll still be a few years out. I don't know the exact statistics of how well the show did, but I can't imagine it was terrible enough for them to immediately say, no, we're not making it season 2. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Appreciate you for letting me be on.
Hey guys, Mr. Docket here, and wow, can't believe it's already been 1 year since Cars on the Road dropped. I remember exactly where I was. I used the VPN to watch it earlier and then make my video on it so I didn't have to stay up till like 4 a.m. It was great. But that being said, a year removed has changed my mind a bit on the show. I was really caught up in the moment. I was so glad there was new Cars content. I was so happy that we were getting all these unique diecasts at the time as well. I actually have a lot of great memories for last year because of Cars on the Road, despite it being a little bit of a tougher time for me. My dad was in the hospital for the entirety of like September and October almost, so Cars was kind of like my escape, looking for Royce Revsley or Speed Demon, Greebles. Those guys really stand out in my mind. As silly as it kind of sounds, like the T-Rex as well, I really enjoyed that. But looking back, all the episodes are very superfluous, very just surface level, touch on a lot of gimmicks, and don't really dive into any of the story that we come to love with McQueen and Mater. It doesn't really have that through line that connects all the episodes either. There's not a whole lot that builds off of them. You could rearrange them and pretty much get the same thing out of them. That being said, I do believe it was a great thing for us fans to have that, to hopefully bridge it to Cars 4 in the future or something else. But either way, it kept the franchise going. It breathed new life into it. And in that sense, I am grateful for it. And I'm also grateful to JS Cars 8 for letting me give my thoughts on this channel here. I appreciate that. And yeah, guys, thanks for listening. See you guys next time.
Well, thank you very much to those amazing people for partaking in this video. And now for my final thoughts. At the end of the day, Cars on the Road is not what I had in mind when I said I wanted a car show. And I know that I've been very negative towards this series this entire video, but at the end of the day, I still do like it. Just like I like Cars 2 and Cars 3. It may be a cheesy kid show filled with flaws, but it's still something new for my favorite franchise, which is enough for me. Which is why I now really want Pixar to make a Cars 4. Seeing how Toy Story 5 has been confirmed, it seems more and more likely that a fourth Cars movie could happen, and a year ago this would have been disappointing to me, but now I could not have wanted it more. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and comment down below what you think of Cars on the Road. I'll see you in another one. JS Cars 8, signing out.